guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Isabella, I'm an author and digital content creator, and welcome to my little space on YouTube. So I'm so sorry if you can hear the fan in the back, but today we're going to be doing my little first year student chat at university kind of wrap up, and I'm just going to be telling you about my experience obviously at uni. Of course, this is not to completely shade the uni or the courses itself or anyone who has taught me in those courses. This is completely how I felt going into uni as a first year student, and also my experience so far and how I'm enjoying it. Overall, the summary is I do really like uni so far. It is really nice. It kind of is more enjoyable to me than high school because I do have more flexibility, I suppose, in terms of scheduling. But the only annoying thing I will say is that we don't really get to choose what days our classes fall on, and most of the times those days are kind of mandatory, so you are forced to go on those days. And sometimes that could mean a class a day, or if you're lucky, multiple classes will fall onto the same day, which I think was very much the case for me, particularly in my first year. So I can't say I'm really lucky again for next year, but at least for this year I did manage to only have to go to uni for 2 days a week. My degree is a Bachelor of Economics, and basically I did not expect to be thrown into a bunch of mathematics kind of courses, which definitely threw me into like a bit of a curveball. I personally don't think I'm a mathematics person in general, so that was definitely kind of a shock, but I did find these courses really entertaining and really enjoyable. I really enjoyed those classes more compared to any of the other classes I had, surprisingly. And I really love obviously just learning about these different mathematical concepts, but also getting to explore like other fields of mathematics, particularly within the economic social science. That was really entertaining and really cool to me because I obviously learnt more of the mechanical side of mathematics, particularly in like how you become an engineer, or if you want to work with like coordination and things like that. So the mathematics courses I took when I was younger, they weren't really kind of tailored to my interests, I suppose you could say. But this one in my degree, it was very entertaining, very eco-focused, which was great, and it definitely showed me that yes, mathematics can be fun, but also depending on what you want to do with the mathematics concept, you can kind of manipulate it to fit your area of interest, which I definitely found very fun, and it was also really cool making new friends in those classes as well. So I guess that kind of tells you what kind of courses I studied over this past year. It was a lot of math classes, and I didn't really have any writing subjects. I remember being told in high school that eco was just a bunch of essays. To be fair, I don't have any essays that I have written over the past year. So all I've done is literally solve quizzes and math questions and just sit final exams. So there hasn't been anything, I guess, written for my degree so far. So I definitely want to see if this kind of changes as I progress further, but it has been really fun, and I do really enjoy like the structure at my uni. So that is kind of a really nice thing because I do have a lot of classes online, but there are some on campus, so I'm still getting that like university experience in a way without obviously having to be in all those classes every now and then. The one thing I will say is with having a lot of my classes online, it does feel weird whenever I go over and hang out with one of my friends and they have like in-person lectures, which I don't have, and it's just like a whole different kind of experience, and it's so strange because my lectures, they're all online, and my tutorials are on campus, but every now and then my tutorials will be online as well. So the fact that they have all these long classes that are literally in person kind of seems mind-boggling to me in a way, because I don't have to sit in a class for that long. Like my class is scheduled literally for an hour, and I'm only in there for like 20 to 30 minutes, and then I'm done. Like, it's insane to me how crazy time is for my uni compared to another uni. So it's weird that my friends have to actually be in a class for 2 hours straight, and I'm only there for like half the time it actually is, which is crazy because we still cover the same amount of content, if not more content in more further depth, and we still learn the same thing at the end of the day, which is insane. But I do really like the structure of the uni, and I guess just the way my classes are run in general. So I do realize there are people who would prefer just in person entirely or completely online. I like the mix, it's really nice and it just helps, I guess. But there are times when having this mix or blended learning mode is really annoying because in my second semester, I definitely had a situation where I had back-to-back classes without knowing they were actually going to be all online. So I assumed they were going to be on campus, which wasn't really practical because I'd have to run across campuses basically just to get to those two classes on time, which wasn't favorable indeed. But when I found out they were online, it did definitely set me at ease. But having that kind of like uncertainty of whether your class will be online or on campus really does annoy me sometimes, because it is hard to plan for these kind of things. Like, you can't plan what kind of traffic you're going to be running into, you can't plan if some accident's going to happen, and that kind of gets stressful, especially if you don't want to show up late. You don't want to miss something important, especially because these classes at the time that I was studying, they were math classes, and I didn't feel confident in obviously mathematics, so I didn't want to miss anything, and that was my main reason. But obviously for my friends, this would have been a lot easier because they just know they're going to always be on campus. The only thing they have to do is run to different buildings. They're not like, rushing from somewhere completely all the way to another room or another building entirely. So I feel like that's the only annoying thing in terms of the blended learning mode. But other than that, I have really enjoyed structure of the university's kind of program, and I have had a lot of fun. I have made so many new friends, which honestly shocked me because I am a very introverted person. I don't really go out of my way to talk to people, but I surprised myself this year a lot by literally starting the first conversation and then making all these really lovely friends. And it's so cool because most of these people that I'm friends with, they are all international students, or some are domestic students, but it's really cool hearing about obviously other countries that I have always been interested in, like the European countries or the Asian countries, and I'm like so excited to basically, go explore, I guess. It's like the simplest way to say it. But in terms of assessments, I would say the assessments I've had so far are pretty okay. Like, we've just had quizzes and, I guess, exams, so it's not like anything over the top. It's like kind of expected, and they were all online, so that was nice. I don't really have much to say particularly on the handing and assessments part because I only did one of those, and that was really easy. Like, it literally was film yourself in a video and just submit it. Like, that was all I had to do. So I don't know in terms of like actual hand-in assessments, but for exams I would say I have enjoyed the exam system. There was one exam that I did, which you would have seen a video for probably in my November writing diaries during that exam period for my second semester class. The program we run our online exams basically didn't work, and it stressed out the entire cohort, and that wasn't fun. That was the only downside, but other than that I have had a good experience exam wise. So I guess now let's just talk a bit more about my classes. So I study for about 12 actual weeks, and then there's 2 student vacations or study vacations, however you want to interpret it. So that's kind of the structure of my uni semester, and it goes well, and I really enjoyed it. So that was a good thing. Apart from the fact that a lot of the public holidays fall in where my class is usually for, I do have to go attend extra classes. So instead of 12 weeks, sometimes I'll be studying for 13 weeks, sometimes it'll be 14 weeks. It's just not really consistent in that case, especially if you have a public holiday class, which is a little bit annoying. But other than that, it's not a terrible, I guess, process and program in terms of how they spread out the content. The fact that all classes are basically 3 hours only each, which is really nice. So I know that as long as I hit 3 hours per week for each subject I take, that's it. So it's a lot easier to manage compared to maybe someone who has a 4-hour class, which is what my friends have. They have 4-hour classes in a week for all their subjects, but they do study less subjects than I take in a semester. So that's the only difference. But I do like our structure more, so it is definitely a lot easier to manage. And knowing that I'm only basically doing 3 hours for one class each is nothing, and it feels a lot more bearable than knowing I have to study 6 hours for something, which is crazy. In terms of how many classes I took this year, I took 10 classes. Yeah, So I took 10 classes. 2 of those classes were in my vacation periods, which was Innovation Futures, and then I did another innovation subject called Innovation in Complex Systems, and I did film a little bit of that. So there are some uni vlogs for that. And then in my normal semesters, I took 4 classes each for those, and that was for my economics degree. The classes went really well and it was really interesting. The only downside I will say for my economics degree particularly is that all my classes were pretty late or super early in the day, and that wasn't really something I had control over, to say the least. But it wasn't the most favorable because anytime I would want to do something on those days, and obviously as a tutor most of the times you will work in the afternoon over the week at least, and I couldn't work on a lot of days because all my classes were super late, and by the time I would have gotten home and finished those classes, it would be like 10 p.m, 10:30, maybe sometimes even 11 p.m. So it was never like the best in terms of having to schedule in students and like their sessions combined with my own learning. So that was the only downside to obviously those classes, but other than that I had no issue with them. They were really good. Of course, there was the occasional stress here and there when it came to content and like obviously all of that. In terms of keeping up with the work, I would say I did a pretty good job in semester 1. In semester 2, I had I did a switch in my approach to my learning, and I think that was the only issue. So the approach worked during the semester, but when it came to the exam period, I noticed like many issues with it. So I think moving into my second year, I'm going to go back to my approach that I did in semester 1, particularly for my economics degree, because that didn't work out the best for me when I switched in semester 2, and yeah, it was a whole process and it was not really fun to deal with. So that's the only thing I would say I would want to go back to in terms of what I have learned. And basically in semester 2, I just took the digital PDFs of our lecture PowerPoint slides and I just wrote on the actual slide itself on my Remarkable tablet. If you know what happened to Remarkable, you will know why this is a whole situation in itself. But I do have another tablet that I can use and I can write on. However, in semester 1, I didn't do that. I literally hand wrote every single note from the lecture, and I found that was easier for me to retain information, and I found it a lot easier to retain information and things the professor had actually taught us, even if I didn't write it down on the actual paper itself. So I think moving forward, I'm going to continue to handwrite all those lecture notes and tutorial notes in itself without using obviously a digital version, because I did realize I did struggle to learn a lot more and comprehend the content, even if I was still taking notes, even if I was still jotting formulas and practicing all those questions and everything. It just didn't stick for some reason, and I don't really want to have to go through that because I will be taking a lot more classes next year. So I'm just gonna go back to semester 1 strategy of this year and see how it goes for 2025, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed literally, that it will work out and that exam season will be a lot smoother this time around. But I feel like we've kind of covered on everything. In terms of like clubs and extracurriculars that I joined, I did join 5 of them. Did I attend any of them? That's a different story. So I attended one event and I realized that it wasn't really for me. So moving into 2025, I'm definitely going to be leaving a lot of the clubs that I was in this year, and I will be probably either joining new clubs, depending on time commitment obviously, and potentially, and I say this with a big question mark, joining a writing kind of centered club. So we'll see how that goes, but I am excited for what 2025 holds. I don't know, they're just not really aligning with what I want anymore in life, or what I want to kind of achieve in the rest of 2025, I suppose you could say. So that's kind of the main thing. But I have to say that my first year at university was really good. It was really enjoyable, and I definitely am loving this university kind of life. It is less stressful compared to high school so far, and that's a positive, I will say. But just know that you are doing great and you will succeed in whatever you do in your education journey or any endeavor that you really want to achieve in life. So that is kind of the little summary of my first year university experience. And yeah, I can't wait to see what 2025 brings. I can't wait to obviously film all of those uni vlogs, uni content again. Those were so fun. I really love doing them. And I want to try and film more at uni. I'm trying to get over my fear of filming in public, but yeah, I can't wait to see how 2025 goes. And hopefully you guys love the content that's coming your way, because there will be a lot of uni vlogs, a lot of writing vlogs, and who knows what else is going to be coming, because I can't tell you everything. And also I don't know what's happening half the time, because I do have a list of content I want to film, but then only time will tell what's actually going to get filmed and posted. So yeah, that's kind of the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next year in 2025, and hopefully with more unique content. Until then, I'll see you later. Bye!
Yeah, this is a bad one. Yeah, this is a bad one. Yeah, this is a bad one.